Welcome, welcome back to Brook in the Air. Today we have a bit of a special show for you today. Well, yeah. Appears through majority polling, if you will, that a lot of people in this country especially, don't know how to properly travel through airports and airlines. Now we've
They
covered.
especially don't know how to act on planes.
That's what I said about airlines. Now
We have to make it special and simple for these people.
we covered airports before a bit. I'm sure we'll dive it more in depth in that later. For now, we're going to cover how to act on airplanes. Now, a lot of this is common sense, but some people don't focus. They don't pay attention, and they don't realize.
But if I pay it, I can act however I want to.
You would think that, but no. This is not your home. This is not your man cave. This is not your buddy, I don't know, Bill's garage on a Saturday afternoon swilling beer. This is a professional environment that you just happen to share with 100 other people at 30,000 feet in the air.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Now, this is American Airlines, obviously. You're front of their safety pamphlets. But this is also a rather effective method of conveying the information to you, as American is one of the worst American airlines out there. No pun intended. Their domestic 737s are among the worst, although they do have problems with international flights too. See, she's holding up the safety card here, not only because it is her job, but also because very few people ever pay attention to the safety manual. And Techmania is giving me the thumbs up, which means I don't have to kill him this time.
And if there's background noise, guys, the reason is it's freaking hot up here. It's summer. Deal with it.
It's only May. Yeah, it's also May in Northern Ohio, so, yeah.
It's humid.
Yes.
But yes, you would also understand that if you've ridden on an Airbus overseas plane where they had no air vents.
Which isn't really the airline's fault. It's more of the manufacturer's fault who has defective AC in their A330s. They didn't design it that way. It just happens because they're older model planes.
But remember, this also goes into acting like an adult on a plane. Even if it's warm, what are you going to do? Complain about it because the flight attendants can totally fix it?
You're going to act a fool, or you're going to deal with it. Just suck it up, deal with it. Or as American men like to say, grow a pair.
Yeah. Also, I know she doesn't have any pictures in this, but I'm going to just mention it. Parents, please keep your little monsters in the way that they're supposed to act. If they wouldn't act that way in a store, please do not have them act that way either.
Yeah.
We're also testing out something new. We have a remote.
We're slowly gathering new technology.
Yes.
So, yeah. So this is obviously a Delta Airlines flight. Just something really
It's
free
not
to look
the one
at.
that had the ramp fall off, though.
No. This is an Airbus plane. Well, actually, no, it's a Boeing plane, actually. Boeing 767.
Wait, so it could be the same plane?
No. That was 757.
I thought it was 767. Whatever.
Yeah. Generally speaking, first class passengers don't have to worry about this too much because they're actually among the nicest people I've met in the sky.
However, I will switch that to there are some gigantic entitled jerks. And seriously, if you here's how I would say the hierarchy is. Yeah, that was yours. The hierarchy is this. If you guys are going to act like idiots, please Don't act like idiots in first class especially. Oh, we may have a message. Kelly Renee messaged us saying about paying more attention while flying on 737s.
Oh, yes. Many need to pay more attention because they're smaller planes. Therefore, you need to be personally aware more often than not. 737s are among all major airlines, whether it's Southwest, United, American, or Delta. They're the major U.S. Short haul to medium haul carrier for like actual planes. I mean, it's one of the best-selling planes in the market worldwide. And you need to be personally hyper-aware of your surroundings and the people around you.
Also, this is more for airlines, but when it says a plane is delayed, especially due to weather, check two places: your place and wherever the plane is coming from.
Now, when he says place, he means your direct location. Check your phone, check the weather app, whatever else. Just because you have to say, "Oh, I don't see a storm. Look outside, it's sunny," doesn't mean that's clear your destination.
Yeah. We actually have a personal story regarding this. When we were coming home from Los Angeles and flying into Chicago,
Or as the Brits say, Los Angeles.
yeah, it took us 6 hours at the airport,
Well, it was only supposed to be a 45-minute delay after we got through security.
and the reason for the 6 hour delay is because it snowed in Vegas where the plane was coming from.
And who could predict snow in Vegas? Honestly, it's the middle of a freaking desert.
And if you watch some of the series that Brooke has actually suggested that you watch, the one about Southwest, people will get into gigantic screaming fits about the weather.
And for reference, that show is simply entitled Airline. It's a very good show. I believe it might be off the air now, but you can easily find it on any streaming service out there.
Yes. YouTube especially will have a lot of episodes, which this is also going to be posted to YouTube once we're done. But we're doing it on Facebook Live because we've noticed that a lot more of you will go onto Facebook and watch stuff rather than on YouTube.
And then you'll eventually go into YouTube later on, and this will be brought to you in your face on YouTube. What do you keep looking at?
I just keep checking the streaming quality over my shoulder. I might have to run an Ethernet cable from the switch into the laptop.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anywho, eventually we did make it out of LA, but that took a good 6.5 hours, but we didn't bring it up to the flight attendant or the flight manager at the customer service desk. We did go up to the desk personally.
And we were polite. We weren't that jackass.
We were very polite. We asked if they could still salvage our first class seats. They partially could. They could salvage our first class seats for the trip to Chicago. We would be in Economy Plus from Chicago to Cleveland, which is fine. It's like an hour trip.
Yeah. And then when we got onto the plane, there was another hiccup. They
Yeah.
had to change a tire, didn't they?
They had to change the tire. They had to reboot the computer. They had to do some basic maintenance stuff. Now, economy passengers may have been throwing a fit, but we didn't let that get to us. Not because of a person in first class. There were a few, but we didn't let that get to us. We simply let it go. Because who can do anything about that? No one.
And then on top of that, we found out that it was either your or my charger that didn't work on the plane. Since we were polite and telling the purser that, I think, what was it, 5,000 points?
5,000 miles each.
Yeah.
Bonus.
5,000 miles each.
No. He's gave us an option: 5,000 miles or $100 voucher.
Yeah. And
You took the 100, I took the 5,000.
right, yeah. So basically, you guys, that is the whole thing of the benefits of acting nicely to the staff on a plane. You do that, you get the bennies. You don't always get the bennies. It's up to the purser or the flight attendant. It's kind of like, I hate to say it because it's a horrible example, it's kind of like whether or not you're nice to a cop when you get pulled over.
Now,
It's their discretion.
there are certain ranks to flight attendants. Actual flight attendants out there can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but generally speaking, there are junior flight attendants. They're just hired. They have no say or rank. They barely have their own opinions.
They serve drinks and that's about it.
And snacks and
Yeah.
meals. Yeah. Then there are standard line attendants, which are lower sector. Then there are senior flight attendants, which have been on the line for years and years and years.
If you want to, I think that's someone in the next picture.
Right there, yeah. This is actually for aerofloats who are banned right now, but yeah. Okay.
It's the same principle.
Yeah.
The flight attendants dress the part.
Yes. Now, flight attendants have come a long way in the many decades they've been in service. Unfortunately, they're still seen as more or less a sex object.
Well, and on top of that, it's the same way you would see a waitress or a teacher, sadly. I mean, the amount of stuff. If you can make a porn of it, they're a sex object.
And when really, I mean, they're just there to be classy, to serve you drinks. Most importantly, though, they're there for safety.
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, if a plane has any accident issue, they are the ones responsible for your being alive. So treat them nicely. I mean, senior flight attendants, there's a rank upwards of that. There's a purser, which is a flight attendant in charge of the rest of the attendants. And they tend to be either very nice or very, very mean. But it depends largely on how you treat them.
Kelly mentioned another thing. Phoenix will delay flights just for a little bit of rain on the runway.
Oh yeah, because Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport does not have sufficient equipment to clear the rain off the runway, or to dry it rather. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. Good input. What are you doing? You're making me nervous. Oh, whatever. We're just going to move on here.
I wouldn't necessarily say like bodyguards. They're more direction. They're more traffic directors, kind of. I would almost say they direct the traffic inside the plane.
For example, let's say the worst happens, the very worst happens, and you end up going down onto, I don't know, say a forest area, and the plane's filling with smoke, just filling with smoke entirely. Well, those lights on the cabin, on the walkway, will light up.
Which, if you watch Mayday air disasters,
Yeah.
it actually goes into details about why those were created. Yes,
And
you can thank people who died for that.
you keep plugging shows away, no connection with.
Oh, no, but I do plug the shows because they're to get more information.
So, flights will direct you from your seat to those walkways. They will, if you can't see it all, they will pull you up and direct you to the walkway itself. Now, the Emirates flight attendants here on your screen are some of the best. Obviously, on their 777s, this is a 343 economy configuration, but they have some of the best seats up there. And on these, they have immaculate safety protocols.
Yeah. So even if you've heard it multiple times, pay attention to the safety briefing because each plane is different.
And Emirates, they only entrust their flight attendants to do like the first class cabin and business class cabins. Including with those and the economy class, they have personal vid screens that show the flight safety video in both Arabic and English.
When we went on our Air Canada flight, it was all done with the vid screens because it makes sense if you have an in-flight entertainment system.
If you have planes with like 300 plus people, you're going to want to have vid screens anyway.
Yeah.
But it also is awesome of any wrongdoing if the worst happens.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Boeing 777ER, which is a mainstay of Emirates fleet, and in fact the mainstay of a lot of airlines actually.
It's kind of hard to see, but there are 4 doors on each side.
There's actually 5 doors each side.
5? Where's the other one?
Right by the cockpit, right in the middle of the R and A. In
Oh,
Emirates.
okay, yeah, I missed that one.
One over the wing, one in the aft, and one by the tail.
Yeah. So that means there's a total of 10 exit doors.
Mm-hmm. Emirates had their 777-300ERs personally customized, being one of the UAE flag carriers. I mean, people talk all the time about Emirates business class and first class, and they are spectacular, but you can't overlook their premium economy and economy classes either. Because you will never have an issue with legroom in those. Ever. And their flight attendants are amazing, but again, if you behave, if you take into consideration the fact that they are people, they are your fellow human beings. One thing I've learned in my so far 4 years of solo traveling is that we are all human beings.
And everybody can have a crappy day.
Everyone has a bad day, and it's easy to say, well, shake it off and get with the program. Yeah, it's easy to say that. But you know what? What matters is if you simply...
Just prepping for the videos.
What matters is if you simply treat them as human beings. If you don't, if you treat them like scum or that they're servants, they will make your life hell. And rightly so. There's no reason why any human being should be treated that way.
That is why I compare them to wait staff, or hospitality, or even somebody like a fast food worker. Remember, these are the people who make your food.
To borrow a line from Waiting, with people who help the things you eat.
Yeah, don't frack with them. Seriously, do not frack with them.
No Goran way. So, let's see, moving on here. Again, Kelly's point with the 737s. Now these are 737-800s. So they're not the max versions. And the winglets are the giveaway in any case.
Yet these are the free-for-alls of the sky.
Yeah. These are actually 700 models because they have rounded engines.
Now, the way Southwest handles everything leaves a lot to be desired in certain ways. Yes, they are fun to fly on because the flight attendants usually have fun. However, the host of problems.
Well, I will say this. Their seats are very comfy until their new seats debut, in which case I will pass. Because at that point in time, there'll be no difference between them and JetBlue.
However, let's list the problems. Number one, they use an archaic system for everything. And I mean for everything. Anything electronic, they haven't updated their computers, I know this is probably an exaggeration, potentially since 1999.
At least 99. They were still using Windows XP.
Number two, free-for-all seating system.
And I can speak personally on this. You would line up according to your boarding zone, which is fine, everyone has zones. But the way Southwest differentiates it, you line up 1 through 50, or A1 through A50, B1 through B50 is the next zone on, and so on and so forth. And it's completely illusory in your form of control, but I mean it's to give you that feeling of, oh, I get to pick my own seat. You don't. You get whatever seat is available in your zone.
I just thought of a horrible way to describe it. You know Black Friday, how the doors are shut?
Mm-hmm.
And then they basically open the doors and everybody rushes in trying to be the first to grab an item?
Yeah. Well, and Southwest tricks you into thinking, oh, I can choose a seat, whereas other airlines charge you for a seat. They make you think you got a great deal. Yeah, it can seem that way, but overall, it's better to spend the extra, $50 to $120 and just pick your own seat.
Well, and on top of that, do they have any loyalty programs? I forget.
Yes. JetBlue is Flying Blue. Southwest has Big Heart.
That's right.
But there's a very few perks with that.
Yeah.
You get their own personal credit card, and you get points that add up to miles.
Yeah. Now, the reason we plug United so much is because, unlike many other people, we have never had a problem on a United flight.
I have found United to be very, very helpful, very efficient, very cost efficient, and very, very friendly in every sense of the word. Very good to its passengers, I mean, some people will say, never United, I'll never fight United. You know what? That's their prerogative. That's fine. I will fight other airlines if they happen to be a good deal overall. But I find United to be very, very effective.
They will also own it when they screw up.
Yes. And their Mileage Plus credit card with Chase, a partner with Chase, is fantastic. I now have over 207,000 miles and growing, and I will have enough for a couple first class international travel tickets in just a bit. And as a member of the Star Alliance, they're 27. They're a member of an alliance which hosts 27 airlines.
Which means you can use a lot of different co-chairs and you can use the same miles.
The amount of airlines with code-share agreements is just it's legion. I'm not even going to list them all. There's so many.
It's about half the world, isn't it? If not
pretty much,
three-quarters.
yeah. About half the world overall. The other airlines, One World and SkyTeam, they're minuscule. I mean, One World builds itself and markets itself overall as the business alliance, and I'm like, for what? Now, some airlines out there are not members of alliances, like Southwest and JetBlue. They're unaffiliated. But JetBlue wants to play the big boys. We'll just have to see how that works out.
Southwest is in a league of its own.
Southwest is in a league of its own. Essentially, it's right in between the classifications for a low-cost carrier and the mainline carrier. So it's like targeting the intermediate range.
But they really need to work on the upgrades before they become quote-unquote reliable.
Now, part of their reasoning for their success is using only one type of aircraft, the Boeing 737.
But the success also was because they didn't upgrade certain things when they really should have, which has now come to bite them in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
As of, I think, last 1 or 2 years, they had to shut down way too many things.
Oh, yeah. They're actually reducing flights and firing staff now, too.
Instead of upgrading their computer system.
Well, they claim they can't afford it.
As a tech person, I'm not even going to touch that because I will go on a rant for an hour.
But again, it's important that you... Okay, let's break this down and make this very succinct. When you board an aircraft and you have ticket for economy and say row... I don't know... H3. H3, there we go, thank you. Not in the front, but not in the back either. Nice in the middle. In the middle seat. 3 puts you right by the window. So, in many cases.
Depending upon what...
Either 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. If it's a small one. If it's a bigger aircraft, 3 would be in the center aisle. Because usually if it's 2, 3, 2.
Rows A, B, C, D, E,
Oh,
F.
that's right, yes.
If it's a small 737, then A, B, C, D, E, F.
That's right.
Because typically 737s are 3 or 3 abreast.
Now, if it's a big honkin' plane, oh lord, I've been on one of those, and it's absolutely hilarious. I remember being on a Virgin Atlantic airline where it was, I kid you not, a 343 configuration.
You were not a 747.
Might have actually even been a 767. It was a chunky boy.
767 is smaller.
Oh.
747 is the queen of the skies for a reason.
Yeah, well, this was...
Remember the hump?
Yeah.
4 engines.
But yeah.
The only thing technically bigger than 747 is an A380.
Okay.
And it came out way before you came around.
Yeah, this was also
way
late
afterwards.
90s.
Yeah. Way afterwards.
Anyway.
A3 came out in 2014.
Yeah. Speaking of an airline that belongs in the 90s...
I'm sorry. I know it seems biased if you watch enough of my videos that I have and a grudge against American. You know what?
They've kind of earned it.
They really have. And my grudge is not without merit. I have flown American enough and seen enough articles and read enough papers and taken enough of people's opinions into account that I can say American is just worthless.
Well, I mean, they had a first class seat that they didn't fix the back and instead just labeled "Do not sit in it."
And that's not the only one either. They've done that with countless first class seats.
Right.
I mean, because it's cheaper for them overall, they decided to fly the aircraft with these broken seats than to actually take them into maintenance and fix the seats.
Well, we can't stop the flying. I mean, even Spirit. Yes. We have both Bash Spirit, Frontier, Allegiant.
Sun Country.
For their, Sun Country, for their problems, but they will at least usually fix things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you even have the chance of Garuda fixing things.
In Indonesia, the Indonesian equivalent of Spirit is Garuda International Airways.
Mm-hmm. And one of the only few airlines that was banned for a time from the European Union because of so many problems.
In fact, in the Indonesian languages, Garuda means to fly, or flight, or, alliteration thereof.
Yeah. And we could go into the sheer amount of problems with American Airlines, but ain't nobody got time for that.
Now, if American Airlines was Indonesia, they would have a 5-star safety rating.
Hey, they'd have a 5-star safety rating in Africa.
Mm-hmm. And, guys, it's not racist to me to say that, because there's good merit behind that. American is trash, and Africa, all 54 or 55 countries now, can't come together and agree on a single airline that can represent their continent well.
Yeah.
And the only one that is even basically efficient and good is Kenya Airways.
Yeah. The one that I make a insult at is Ethiopian, who tries. They try for the most part.
Now, I can't even give the same credit to Egypt Air, because Egypt Air has tried.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they're a member of Star Alliance, so they have tried. But Egypt Air they do get high marks and safety, yes. Especially since they rebranded and redid everything. But their soft product is so miserable.
Now, if you want to see what we're talking about, yes, I'm going to do another plug. Josh Cahill is one who has been on quite a few. Also, congrats, Josh, on your recent win.
Big fan. So, way to go.
Yeah, so he has been all over. He has flown on a bunch of these. So, don't take it from us just saying. Go and watch one that has actually happened where somebody records it.
I mean, I'll be there eventually, hopefully, but not anytime soon.
Yeah. We got to get all of our stuff together.
I do have several flights coming up, but Indonesia is kind of low on the list.
Yeah. The same thing like a lot of other cheap carriers. Again, another plug, Noel Phillips, who goes, you're crazy, man, but seriously, you do you.
You're insane, but you do get credit for going on these wild flights that I would never do. But hey, I mean, two thumbs up. Yes, you're braver than I am, so you get credit for that.
And the reason we mention these two is they go on a lot of flights that not many people would, and they give unbiased opinions, which is honestly the most important thing. The unbiased opinion of what you experience, not whether or not somebody bribed you or paid you off. But that's another story for another day.
I mean, I doubt Josh and Noel did any of that crap.
No. I was talking about how we question whether some of the other ones.
Oh, yeah.
That's another story for another day.
You know who we're talking about, really. I mean, yeah.
Rich people.
Anyway, even on American, it's important to mind your manners as a passenger.
Yeah. Even if the flight attendant is not the nicest because they've had a bad day.
Every one of us has bad days. We're human. It happens. The important thing to remember is that you're on a plane with 100 other people, and you're trying to politely get from point A to point B. And to do that, mind your manners, put your overhead luggage in the overhead bin, put your main luggage, or your secondary luggage, I should say, sorry, in the seat in front of you. Do not put it under your own seat.
Also, here's another thing to remember. You are not the only one who wants to take off as soon as possible. How are flight attendants paid?
Former flight attendant for a few months. Okay, wheels up, wheels down, flight attendant paid. When wheels go down, flight attendants are not paid. Which means, to get you off the plane in the airport and clean the plane, you are not paid. at all. We are only paid from wheels up when the airplane leaves the runway to wheels down.
So if there's any maintenance delays, or they're waiting on the pilots because they had a bad night, they're not getting paid.
You're asking stuff of us that we are not getting paid for.
Yeah. So again, the more you delay the plane because you're an idiot, for whatever reason.
I mean, trust us. We want to get off the ground too. We would love to get off the ground. That was us. I mean, but it just doesn't work that way because people are lack of efficiency bothers me to no end. People can't decide what they want to do. People can't decide they arbitrarily decide they want to get something from their bag. We've all done that mistake. I mean, we have something in our overhead bin that we want to get out of our bag, and we want to pull it down and pull it in the seat with us. Get it in the middle of the fasten seatbelt thing goes off.
Shall we go to the next slide?
Yeah.
I have a couple points to make. You see the metal tube, you see how there's nothing blocking it? If you relieve yourself in your seat, or you proceed to relieve yourself from the front, everybody can smell it.
Oh my
or
God.
if your dog that you have with you relieves itself in the middle of the aisle.
This seems like a fantastical example, but really
It's not.
it's not. If you pay attention to any of the airline news that posted in recent weeks, you'll know that at least 2 United planes have had this accidents happen, and 3 Spirit planes have had accidents happen too.
Now, the other thing to also remember, and this is not a bash against parents with children, but if your baby relieves itself into its diaper with the dirty, stinky, smelly diaper, please, for the love of all that's holy, go change it, don't just ignore it, because you will piss off everybody.
Oh yeah.
This is also a complete sounding area, so people, do not play your music through your phone or whatever.
Alright, you want to
without
rephrase
headphones.
that bit? What he means is that there's no soundproofing in this area. You said something which is completely different.
Well, no, what I meant to say was
Well, I know what
the
you meant to
sound.
say.
The sound bounces off everything. You were in a gigantic metal tube with sound amplification. Yay!
At 3,000 feet, no one can hear you scream.
Or internally, everybody can hear you scream forever and ever and ever as it bounces.
Seriously, this is a Delta 737 in their Economy Plus seating. They may call it something different, but it's Economy Plus. In the back here, behind the partition, where that flight attendant is, they have a 3x3 configuration. Right here, it's a 2x2, and...
Are you sure this is in the first class? Older?
No, this is Economy Plus.
Okay.
Now, this might serve also as a domestic first on their domestic ops.
Yeah. And also, if you see the curtain right behind the open bin, that's all the soundproofing y'all are gonna get.
Also, a matter of manners, do not ever go through the curtain unless you're a first-class passenger. If you haven't paid your first in your economy, it's not a classist issue. Just mind your manners and don't go beyond the curtain. If you haven't paid for first class, don't go up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in Delta, United, or American. Can I help you?
Or anything. I mean, if there is a curtain drawn, it's essentially a door.
Yeah. I mean, if you're like, ooh, I want to see what's up there, be content with the knowledge that up there are people who have shelled out $600+ or more for the privilege of being in a comfier seat.
And besides, there's a 50-50 chance you will see it when you walk in the plane or walk out of the plane, because that's where the door is.
Pretty good chance, I'd say 90% chance of that happening.
So you get to see it.
Because in many cases, it's a marketing thing. Airlines have you pass through first class on domestic flights to get to your seat. Because they want you to see first class and see what you're missing.
It's basically like jingling the cat toy in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it, you know you want it.
Like, hey, I know you are flying economy now, but look what you get if you upgrade next time. Now, I have a special treat for you, a couple of videos.
Oh, we got one more. The reason why people act like
Yes. And the reason I'm doing this video here in the US, because Very few people here use their brains when flying.
Now, when we say average IQ, that is your average intelligence, but it also goes into common sense and entitlement. Sadly, most Americans, and this is backed up by evidence, think that we're entitled.
Because they think that they're Mr. or Miss Important American, and they need to get from point A.
Mr. Ken or Miss Karen.
Mm-hmm. And they need to get from point A to point B like that. I can tell you right now, no one gives a crap about who you are. As long as you have the integrity to sit your butt down in your seat and find it properly without a big fuss.
And also, here's the other thing to remember. If you throw a tantrum on a flight, whether it's before takeoff, up in the air, or on landing, you are going to delay everybody and piss everybody off. The videos that we've shown you guys before, if you go back and look at one of our React video, that actually happened.
All the videos we show you are licensed, accredited, and either news clips or academic videos, which are real.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is doctored. So coming up, we have a couple of specials for you. They're really quick. They're like 7-minute stops, each one. But they show you how things work and how not to be on an airline.
It's a sad sign of the times. One fight after another breaking out on airplanes. Stressful times, that's for sure.
We're working on the technical problems, guys.
Yeah, apparently. Alright. PowerPoint is deciding to be special, so here's what we're going to do. I'm not in the mood for it to be this level. So give me a second, people. We promised it would be smooth and we're failing.
We usually don't have these problems. We actually did try this out beforehand and it worked. But now this is a complete...
Hold on.
This is from CBS News.
Union. Sarah, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Vlad. Happy to be here.
So we were saying earlier, as summer travel heats up, it's a good time to remind ourselves how to act on planes, especially when it comes to proper flight etiquette. So joining us for more on this is Sarah Nelson. She is the president of the Association of Flight Attendants Union. Sarah, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Vlad. Happy to be here.
So we were saying earlier that it's kind of remarkable that in 2023, we're still having discussions about how adults should behave on planes when it comes to just their fellow passengers, but more critically, the people who keep us safe in the air, that is the crew, the flight attendants, and obviously the pilots and the first officers. So just give us a few sort of tips on how passengers, even the question sounds weird. Like, you should treat flight attendants the way you treat members of your own, like the way you treat anybody.
I know.
Like, so it feels weird to be asking you this, Sarah, but what tips can you offer us on how passengers should properly behave on an aircraft?
Well, I appreciate the question, and I also appreciate the spirit in which you asked the question. Because really, what we have to just remember is that flying is not something that's done simply. We have a very set of strict rules because we need to be safe, first and foremost. And we're bringing all of humanity into a cramped space. And summer flying has always been a beast. But flight attendants are there to ensure you have a safe, secure flight and to respond to any health emergencies. That is primarily our job on board, to keep everyone safe. We also want to have you to have a good time. There's fewer of us than there's ever been, and summer travel usually means airplanes full to the brim. So every flight will be very full, and we're going to try to keep order and keep everyone following the rules so that we can all get from point A to point B without any incident.
What are some of the more frequent egregious violations that you hear from some of your members?
Well, look, we've had more incidents of violent outbursts, mostly against crew, against other passengers, than we have any time before, say, 2019. Those numbers are still very high. With the compliance of the mask mandate being gone, people think those numbers have gone down, but that was more like people refusing to comply, and we had to report those issues. The issues of violent attacks have still remained way too high. So, of course, keep your hands to yourself. Make sure that you are not causing a problem. If you see a problem starting to arise, don't jump in yourself. Get a flight attendant to the scene as soon as possible. We are very good at de-escalating, and most flights take off without incident because flight attendants are so good at this. But we really do need everyone minding their own space and being aware that you're not just flying for yourself, you're flying with everyone around you. There may also be stressors for other people flying. People are flying for a lot of reasons. Sometimes they're flying because someone is very sick. They're going to get treatment themselves. They are going to a funeral. We have families flying in the summer, which can always be challenging for those families. It really takes a lot of patience, and we encourage people to pack their patience. And also, take a moment to remember that you're around human beings. So when you get on that plane, put your phone down for a moment, meet eyes with the flight attendants on board. Let us know that you're there to be a helper. And that is more likely to mean that your flight is going to be safe and uneventful if everyone is coming with that kind of spirit.
So let me play a bit of devil's advocate for just a little bit, Sarah, because you made it an important point that there are stressors that people may be experiencing when they are flying. As the head of a union, I mean, what responsibility does the airline bear? I mean, you've got passengers who feel as if legroom has been taken away. Nothing is offered on flights anymore.
Yeah.
You are operating with fewer flight attendants in the air, meaning that the jobs are doubly hard or even more so for flight attendants. So you've got two groups of people who are trying to make do with very, very difficult circumstances, and the airlines are raking in the cash, and the people who run the airlines are raking in the cash while they're squeezing both you and us every single day. So what kind of conversations have you had with the airlines about perhaps making it a little easier? I know they're not going to necessarily listen to you when it comes to trying to cram more seats in an aircraft. What kinds of conversations do you have about the stressors that the airlines have imposed on passengers that are making them in some cases behave this way?
One thing it's really important for passengers to know is that your travel space is our workspace. And so we want it to be as comfortable as possible. We want to have as many tools to help you as possible. And we also know that the people in the gate area, their staffing has been cut too. A lot of times, the first time that a passenger is interacting with anyone from the airline, it's actually a crew member on board. So we are not just talking with the airlines. We're also talking with the regulators to say, we need to take a look now at the cabin conditions and make sure that the evacuation standards for those cabin configurations are still safe to safely evacuate an airplane if we have to do that. With seats crammed in so close together, with people plugging bring all their devices in and having all their devices everywhere, people cramming luggage on board because there's a fee to check that luggage. All of those things make the cabin condition much more crammed and much more difficult to respond to an emergency. When we have someone who is sick, it's very difficult to find room to get them the support that they need. These are all the kinds of conversations that we have with the airlines, but we're also having it with lawmakers and regulators to make sure that we're making that cabin environment as safe as possible. Now, I will say one thing. Airline tickets, if adjusted for inflation, were down lower in 2019 than they were when deregulation started at the end of the 70s. And since the pandemic, airline tickets, if adjusted for inflation, are down 4% from 2019. So it's one of the only areas actually where inflation is not really kicking in. Now, where we do see a problem, though, is that the government has not invested in the infrastructure to make sure that we have the proper number of air traffic controllers and towers and systems that are up to date. This year is an FAA reauthorization bill, and we will be addressing those things like that cabin configuration and also making sure that we get proper funding to have enough air traffic controllers to safely operate the number of flights that meets passenger demand.
All right, Sarah Nelson, thank you very much. Well, I want you to know that Vlad and I are always perfect passengers because we understand that you guys are keeping us safe, and we appreciate the hard work that you do.
Thank you so much. And chocolate never hurts either. So just remember that.
All right, that's good to know. That's good to know.
So that was the first video. I'll let you watch the second one on your time. You can peruse that at your leisure. We do have that queued up next in line. You can pick that video if you want. But Sarah does bring up some good points. All of her tips are very, very good overall.
Logical too, seriously.
Yes. She is the head of the flight attendants union. Now, keep in mind, Southwest Union for flight attendants is independent, and they have their own. But we're going to exclude them just for a second, because overall, I mean, when you're on, and this is appreciated for all flights, but when you're on especially international long-haul flights, it's just considered very, very forthright and etiquette to bring like the snacks for the flight crew. Not the cockpit crew, but the flight crew. If there's, say, I don't know, 8 flight attendants, bring like 8 chocolate bars or a big bag of nuts or something like that. It's just kind. Even if one of them is allergic to nuts, they don't have to open the bag. They can. I mean, it's just felt to count.
Yeah, it's the example that I would use is it's like bring your teacher an apple.
Yeah, essentially. It doesn't matter how awkward you are or how much you want to avoid people. It's just kind.
And flight attendants are some of the most underappreciated groups that do a day-to-day job on a regular basis.
And what she said was correct. I mean, our travel space is their workspace. They're doing this for a job. They're doing this for money. They're doing this for work for a living. But it doesn't mean you need to treat them poorly.
Yeah.
On the contrary, you should treat them very, very well because your safety may depend on it.
Also, one of the nicest things you can do is clean up after yourself, boys and girls. Seriously, do not leave trash. Do not leave God knows what. Do not take a napkin or something and shove it down by the side of the seat, because then what's going to happen is the person after you may not be as nice to go, "Flight attendant, how dare you not clean my seat?"
Exactly, because as those planes are cleaned after every flight, they don't catch everything. They may not catch everything. There's only like maybe 20 minutes of cleaning that can be done on a plane before each turnaround.
Yeah. Case in point, I believe it might have been an American Airlines flight where somebody peed on the seat and they missed it during cleanup.
Yeah, now if that was the fault of the flight attendant who did not let the person move their seat.
Right. But at the same time, if you have to relieve yourself, there's a bathroom.
Even on a 737, there's at least 2 bathrooms. One at the front, one at the back.
Yeah.
Just make your way to one of them and have at it. So, with that being said, please message me with any questions, comments, concerns. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it. And we'll see you next week when we do an overview of ICBMs.
You're not doing the bone though, right?
No, I did the blog on that, and I did a short video on that. So I'm good for now on the bone. If they want to learn more of the bone, it is posted as a blog on my site.
And the reason we're saying bone is it's the B1, which if you can't figure out why it's called the bone,
then there's no hope for you. I'm sorry. Yeah, bone B1 bone put together. Yeah, because one's with O-N-E, B. Bone.
Now that she basically just explained it to you like you're a new student, congratulations. You got Brooke the teacher in the worst possible way.
So we are off to dinner, and I will see you next week on Books in the Air. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Take care of yourselves and each other, and wherever you're off to, have a safe flight. And if you're just into flight videos, that's okay too. Enjoy. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see you next week.